everybody, welcome back to Ghost Socks or Fried Bulldogs. Fried Bulldogs or Ghost Socks. Y'all know what it is. Today we continue with the Halloween night, the scary month. So we're going to do late night online horror stories animated by Thriller Teller. That's right. You don't say his name 3 times. Don't say his name 3 times. He's gonna come.
Alright, start this story.
Dr. Nicely.
My wife and I are sitting on the front porch after a long
Like, comment, subscribe to him, please, and like, comment, subscribe to Dr. No Sleep. I'm sorry if I didn't say that. Let's go.
day of moving furniture and boxes into our new house. We were tired, red-faced, and sweating after sharing the burden between the two of us. The sun was setting on the horizon as we sipped our warm beers and looked out over the landscape of our newly acquired ranch. Fields stretched off into the distance as far as the eye could see. There was not a neighbor in sight for miles. The cows were grazing, looking unhappy, their tails hanging straight down as they ignored the fresh grass all around them. I figured they were just upset from the long move.
I like the animation.
Why do you think they needed so many locks? My wife asked, taking a sip of her beer. It was the elephant in the room, so to speak, and I had to admit, I was curious about it as well. Every door in the house had a deadbolt on it, inside and out. Not only that,
Oh no. If I see that, I'm like, yo sis, mom, we gotta go. No, we're not staying here. Vacation is over. Just get the fuck out of here. That's how it be.
but the windows were shielded by thick iron bars. The old owners had left long before we could ask them about it.
What
The folks who lived here before were probably paranoid about home invasions so far from the city. We'll take them down and I'll fill the screw holes with wood putty. We'll paint them over and they'll be good as new. You wanted to redo the trim anyway. And the bars on the windows?
Yeah. Oh my I really gotta get.
That'll
I'm
take
gonna
a
get
bit more
Patreon,
work.
so I'll get it done.
But I can get it done before the weekend. I'll just have to run over to the hardware store to grab a few things. My wife was no longer paying attention. She was staring at some point far off in the distance. "What's that?" she asked, pointing. I followed her finger and looked to see a large gray wolf moving in the fields. It seemed to be stalking deliberately toward us, marching at a steady, quick pace. It came to a fence and did the strangest thing. Instead of leaping over it or burrowing under it, as I'd expected, it stood up on 2 legs like a person, grasped the loose corner of the wire fencing and pulled it up, ducking between the strands and stepping through, one leg after the other. It was exactly how I would have done it. Once it was on the other side, it went back on 4 legs and started its progress toward us again. Then it looked up and saw us staring at it. The gray wolf stayed still for a few seconds, then disappeared in the tall grass suddenly. It was just gone. It didn't dive into the grass or duck down. It was there, and then a moment later, it was just gone. Vanished in the blink of an eye. The two of us sat uneasily on the porch, and I stood up to look in the distance, trying to spot the creature, but it was nowhere to be found. "I'm going inside. You should come too," my wife said, sounding nervous. We went in and locked the doors at the front and back of the house. The bars stayed on the windows after that, and my wife didn't mention the deadbolts on the doors in the house again either. The two of us went to bed that night with little talk between us. A big difference from the ecstatic chatter
Josh.
that had been the norm all day prior to the event with the wolf, or whatever that thing was. I got the feeling wolf was not quite the right word. That night, something else even more disturbing happened to us both. I woke up in the early hours of the morning, around 3:30 a.m., according to the bedside alarm clock. When I looked next to me in the bed and saw my wife's spot was empty, I became immediately concerned for her safety. Where could she have gone at this time of night, I wondered. That was when I heard her voice calling to me from outside the window, asking for me to let her in. Her cries for help were muffled through the glass, and I lifted the heavy old window pane up to hear her better. "What are you doing out there?" I asked, worried about the wolf we'd seen earlier. "I must have been sleepwalking," she said dreamily. "The front door locked behind me somehow. You have to let me back in. Please. It's cold out here." "I'll be right down," I said, without thinking about how impossible all of that was.
It's the bars.
I was only concerned for her safety at that moment, and she had been known to sleepwalk occasionally, so that part seemed to make sense. I raced down the stairs in my boxers and grasped the
I'm not scared at all, but this is the first story, so. Are you scared?
front door in my hand. Reaching up to turn the lock, I was startled to hear a voice behind me. "What are you doing?" my wife asked. I jumped at the sound, my heartbeat quickening. But what terrified me even more was what I had just seen outside. Given the time frame it had taken me to get downstairs, it was impossible that it had been her. It was like someone else had been out there, wearing her skin and speaking in her voice. Looking at the woman standing in front of me, I had no doubt it was Christine, my wife. Panting, I walked over to her and hugged her tightly. "What's wrong?" she asked. I didn't answer, afraid she would think I was losing my mind. Some things we don't share with anyone, not even with our significant others. We take them to our grave, afraid that if we speak of them out loud, it will make them true, and it will make the source of the impossible things return. So instead, I just took her hand and led her up the stairs, looking back nervously over my shoulder at the front door, waiting for the sound of a key turning in the lock, or the sound of it being broken down by powerful forces beyond my control. Instead, there was a gentle knock, polite almost at first. But then a fist began to pound against the front door of the house, louder and louder, more and more insistently. My wife stopped, turning around to look at me on the stairs. "Who could that be at this time of night?" she asked. "Just ignore it. Let's get to bed. They'll go away, eventually." After a few moments of hesitation, she turned around and began going up the stairs once more, taking a couple nervous looks back as she did. We kept walking up the stairs as the pounding continued, devolving into steady scratching noises that didn't cease until daybreak. "What were you doing down in the basement last night?" my wife asked at the breakfast table the next morning. Neither one of us mentioned the sounds at the door the night before. We were both trying to act like it had never happened. In the light of the morning, it seemed like a shared hallucination, a bad dream brought on by warm beer and too much time spent moving boxes without enough assistance. "In the basement?" "I wasn't in the basement," I told her. "Yeah, you were. You were calling my name, asking me to come down there." I looked at her with concern. "When was this?" "Right before I found you at the front door. I figured I just missed you, that you found whatever you were looking for down in the basement and went into the kitchen for a snack or something. But then I found you by the front door." Or something. But then I found you by the front door. I was never in the basement last night. She looked at me, puzzled. "Of course you were. Who else would have been calling for me from down there?" I debated telling her what I had seen outside and decided I probably should. We were clearly dealing with something very strange here, and we needed to be on the same team if we were going to figure it out. "Christine, did you go outside at all last night?" "No. What does that have to do with..." "Okay, so here's the thing. I saw you outside at the same time when you were going down to the basement. You were calling to me from out front, saying you had been sleepwalking and you were locked out. That's why I was at the door. I never went down to the basement, and I don't think that was really you outside either. I think there's something else causing all this to happen. What the hell could cause that to happen? I opened my mouth to answer when there was a polite knocking at the door. The two of us sat dead silent for a few moments, unsure what to do. The knocking came again, and I heard a man's voice, muffled through the door, saying,
There's a car here. Maybe they're out in the fields. Should we just leave it on the doorstep?
A woman's voice asked.
I don't like being here any more than you do, but that seems a bit rude. Maybe we should come back.
Christine and I both stood up, sensing that this was not the same entity from the night before. I don't know how I could tell, but I just could. This wasn't an evil presence. It was just some neighbors coming by to welcome us. And they sounded like they might know something more than we did about the ranch and its mysteries. I opened the front door and saw a man and woman with their backs turned, walking away from us. They spun around when they heard the sound of us opening up. Oh, hi there. We're the Turnbulls. We live down the road. Technically next door, as if there is such a thing out here. But we do share an easement with you to access the river. Jack takes the cattle down that way sometimes for a change of scenery. The man put his arm around his wife's shoulder and whispered something in her ear. She abruptly stopped talking, realizing that she was rambling on nervously. Sharon, I'm sure they don't want to get into all that, but we just wanted to stop by and welcome you to the...
Fuck it. We're gonna stop right there because this shit is boring. I'm bored. I thought it was gonna be
So, who does Dr. No Sleep? Y'all make me sleep.
Give me dad sleep. Fuck is tired and shit.
Yeah, got me yawning and shit.
Yo, I'm fucking tired.
Me too.
Alright, everybody, that's it. I give that one a 0.
And I just smoked sativa, like
I give that one a 0.
-0.
But that was the first story, so we're gonna see if the second story is even better. It's saying 3, skin crawling ranch. Oh, this is ranch story. I don't know why. I don't know nothing about fucking ranch. But we tired and we don't fucking know why. But we know why. It's the fucking video because it's fucking tired. And I thought the scare was gonna happen a long fucking time ago, but it didn't. So we out here just waiting for it, and we don't get scared that often. So we just like fuck. All right, see you in the next video. Peace out. Like, comment, subscribe to Dr. No Sleep. Like, comment, subscribe to.